and congratulations on your new post as chairman. Um, the record should reflect that you and your staff have been extraordinarily accommodating and cordial to myself and my staff. Uh, Obviously, the issues are too important to divide us in any light, and I also thank you for agreeing that any time I take complimenting you shouldn't count against my time to speak. I want to thank our four witnesses for testifying today. And I agree. Today is really, in a sense, not about bailouts or bankruptcies, because I don't think either one of those options can work or is optimal. But as you know, I'm from Illinois, and you don't need to tell me about how bad its finances are and how critical these issues are. Illinois has gone through decades of bad financial decision making under both Democrats and Republicans. Illinois now has an $8 billion backlog in payments and a gaping $136 billion hole in its pension system, leaving its pension less than 50% funded. It should be no surprise then that the rating agencies have downgraded Illinois bond issuances several times in the past 12 months. Last year, Illinois bonds carried the worst credit risk of any U.S. state and were only slightly less risky than bonds from Iraq. According to Lawrence Missal of the Civic Federation, this bad rating was costing Illinois taxpayers $551 million a year extra in interest payments. And total debt service in Illinois is expected to increase by 33% between now and the year 2017. The only way Illinois was able to climb out from a bottom rung was to raise state income taxes a whopping 66%, an outcome no one wanted. This tax increase brought Illinois' bond rating back up and reduced borrowing costs, but only by passing those costs on to Illinois taxpayers. Illinois has to reform its pension system, but it also has to reform its whole way of doing business, which has left retirees vulnerable and taxpayers on the hook. As Professor Dershowitz said of Harvard's shrinking endowment after the 90s boom, a lesson for all of us. People forgot the story of Joseph in Genesis. During the 7 good years, you save for the several lean years. Illinois didn't save for the 7 lean years, and now it has to deal with the consequences. That said, what's going on in Illinois is not necessarily what's going on everywhere else. True, most states have recently rung up large deficits thanks to a collapse in tax revenues during the recession. But the short-term fiscal problem will improve as our economy gets going again. The real problem is an actuarial problem unique to 6 to 8 states, including Illinois, which suffer from long-term structural imbalances. The culprits are rising health costs, underfunded pension plans, and poor financial management. Some of these pension plans look particularly bad right now because of the collapse in the value of pension assets. But even an appreciation in asset value will leave several state pension plans underfunded. The municipal bond market is now responding to legitimate concerns about imbalances in these 6 to 8 states. But I believe we'd be correct to distinguish these bad apples from the other 40-some states that have been relatively well managed and only have temporary deficits. That is why a one-size-fits-all approach, like bankruptcy for states, could do more harm than good. What we have to avoid is any rash action that would contribute new risk factors to the bond market. State and local governments across the country need to continue building roads and bridges, and we don't want to make the financing any more expensive than it already is. So we need to be crystal clear that although there are national interests at stake, the onus must be on those state governments to reform themselves. They need to reform sooner than later. A default on payments would make it obscenely expensive for all states to borrow. Taxpayers would bear the brunt of these costs either through higher taxes or through reduced public services and a move towards austerity. Mr. Chairman, I don't want Illinois problem or a New Jersey problem to become a national problem. These states have to institute common sense reforms to shore up their finances. At the same time, government's mission matters, and successful reform will ensure that workers get the pensions they've earned through their years of service. All we need is the political will to get it done. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses on this matter and the discussions of the next possible steps. Thank you, and I yield back.